Hey guys and gals, on this particular video I'd like to talk about how the thermostatic expansion valve can spell death for your compressor.
If your business sells IAQ products, you need to find out more about this great program from Jackson Systems and Supply. Modern HVAC and IAQ companies offer a lot of IAQ products, including UV lights, media filters, and much more. With the new Airlink program, Jackson Systems gives the contractors a chance to make money while taking the strain off of the contractor. With so many different types of air cleaners, filtration, and UV lights out there, it's hard for a contractor to remember which one goes where and when it's time to change it. First things first, you have to sign up with Jackson Systems to be an Airlink partner. Use the link on the screen or the one you see in the description. Next, you're going to work with the Jackson Systems guys to figure out what you want to sell, how you want to sell it, figure out what you need to sell it for. They're there to help you make sure you're making money, even though they're putting in the legwork. You can even have your own branding on some of those products. Next, you're going to do your installations like you always have done and then show your customers how to scan the QR code and reorder their products. And then find yourself a nice beach or a yacht to sit on because you can sit back and relax and Jackson Systems will do the rest. Sign up today, jacksonsystems.com/Airlink.
I'm sitting here with some of my lovely Makita drills from yesteryear. These things are old, tried, and true, just like expansion valves. Except for these particular drills, they, what I call, died it. They are gone to the drill heaven, and I have to bring them back or chuck them in a pile, which I've done to a whole lot of expansion valves, because expansion valves are much more complicated than pistons, their predecessors, or capillary tubes. Now, pistons and capillary tubes have a very wide set of issues that they can cause or be part of, but the expansion valve, because it's much more complicated and mechanically it's more complicated, it can kill a compressor. It can straight up murder that compressor. And here's one of the reasons why that can take place. Now, an expansion valve, a very common failure is for the bulb to lose pressure. If you see an expansion valve, you'll see there's a bulb hooked on by a little copper tube running over to what's called the power head on a TXV. Now, when this thing gets a hole in it, just like every air conditioning coil in the world eventually does, it starts to leak refrigerant. It's a counterbalance to the pressure in the suction line leaving an evaporator coil. So all of it's carefully calculated by people who know much more than either one of us, but that's their job. Our job is to fix things and to spot problems and to know when something's going wrong. So when that happens, the TXV shuts down. It'll shut off flow to the evaporator coil, and it could be a gradual process or it could be one of these numbers. It can go fast or slow. That's what I'm saying there. I just wanted to have a little bit of something fun to do while I made these videos. So when it all leaks out, that thing shuts down. It can shut down slowly or it can shut down quickly, like we were just saying, and I illustrated beautifully with my little motions. Just to hit it one more time. Okay. So whenever you have to talk to your boss, what happened to the job today? It'll be like, TXV bulb. Be like, yeah, we're on the same page. We all watch Shop Talk. So when the compressor is starved for refrigerant, eventually that low pressure switch will trip out. Now, loss of charge switches may not. There's a difference between those two. We can talk about those later. But a low pressure switch should trip out. One that's located on the suction line before it gets to the compressor. If it goes all of a sudden, that should trip out pretty quickly. But what if it doesn't? Or what if we have a Copeland rust inhibitor issue? Some of you know what that is. And it starts to shut down slowly or get clogged up. Well, you can have a low refrigerant velocity and pressure, much lower than it's supposed to be. And what happens when a pressure gets low? You have two things really that we're going to talk about. The first thing is the compression ratio on that compressor goes way up. All the refrigerant is blocked from passing from the liquid line to the evaporator. So it builds up before the TXV and it's starving after the TXV. So instead of having a ratio of like let's say head pressure to suction pressure, let's say it's 300 over 150. It's 2 to 1. Maybe it's 400 over 100, 4 to 1. And dealing with a much higher compression ratio, the compressor struggles. It pulls more amperage, it's hotter, there's no cool suction gas coming back, and it can kill your compressor. Now, compressors have safeties that protect them, but just imagine this. Even with a safety, if you repeatedly go to that safety to shut it down, it's going to wear that thing out. Eventually the safety will fail, or the compressor will just have enough and go to ground or have another issue. The second thing we're going to talk about is refrigerant oil. Compressors need oil. Typically it travels through the refrigerant system. It's all carefully calculated by very smart people at a faraway high tower. Got to get that refrigerant oil back to the compressor. First, TXV shuts down. Oil can't get back to the compressor, and the refrigerant velocity, means the refrigerant's actually moving slowly, can't carry the oil back to the compressor. So the compressor starves for oil, starts to warm up, starts to wear out, the bearing surfaces no longer have oil on them, and everything's going to get just trashed within a matter of time. So those are two things that I want to talk about that can destroy a compressor that we can blame on the TXV. So TXV failure is not just my house doesn't have cooling or heating for heat pumps. It's so much more. Maybe my store doesn't have cooling in the racks, or maybe there's a whole lot of issues. Hopefully I enlightened you young guys and gals out there that are getting into the trade. And for the old guys, I hope I entertained you by going like this. But as for this one, I'm going to say, till I see you the next time, God bless all of you.